Sean from Ace Appliance in Toledo, Ohio. Welcome back to another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.
Okay.
Alright, these are the tools that you'll need for this repair. I used my drill with a 1/4 inch bit in there, a flathead screwdriver, a number 2 Phillips screwdriver, needle nose pliers, channel locks, a small crescent wrench, and my wire strippers. Okay, complaint is that it's not cooling in the refrigerator compartment, which is up top on this one. And so what I'm going to do, I know all the cooling comes from here, so I'm just going to start here, look to see if I see any frost build up or hear any weird noises or anything. So open the door, and immediately I can see through the grate down at the bottom here, and I can see that there's no frost build up, so there's no defrost issue. But what I do notice is the evaporator fan motor is not running. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get inside here and inspect as to why that is. I'm going to take out the ice maker. Probably going to take out these little rail things here to allow that back panel to come off a little easier. I'm going to start with the ice maker. Make this back panel come off a little easier, I'm just going to remove a side rail, maybe 2 if need be, but we'll start with just 1. That's out. Since it came off so easy, 1 screw, I'm going to do the same one. No sense with fighting with it if it's 1 screw. Alright, I'm gonna, ice maker harness connection here. It's got a tab. I'm just pushing in the tabs to push it back inside the panel because it won't come all the way out. The wires aren't long enough. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws on the back panel, all 1/4 inch. Got the screws, and I can grab my panel. It should pull off. Only minor convincing required. So now we can see our evaporator. Our evaporator fan motor is up here. I can see it is not running. So I just need to verify if it's getting voltage to it. Alright, so I'm just going to check. See if I got AC power, which obviously I have power going to it. So I know that that fan motor is getting the power that it needs to run. So we're going to go ahead and unmount the fan motor by the bracket here. Just a couple of screws. Now I can disconnect all my wiring. Which will probably be easier said than done. I'm going to start with the strain release guys inside here. Pinch them together. Now I'm going to disconnect my my ground line neutral here. So I use my fan motor with the bracket. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to totally unmount my fan motor here from the bracket. Alright, now by doing that, the whole thing comes out. Now it's just a little bit easier to work with. The fan blade's got to come off, so I'm just going to slide that off. I want to be careful not to damage the blades. Set that to the side as well. So now I have the fan motor here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to reuse these mounting brackets that come off of here on my new fan motor. So I'm going to set this to the side for right now. Now, because the original is no longer available, we have a universal replacement. Here, we see the copper winding on this side of the motor. It's on the opposite here. So immediately I know I have to reverse this. Basically, that just changes the polarity of the motor and which direction the fan turns. So we have to change that around. And also, we're also going to have to incorporate these mounting brackets. So I'm going to go ahead and break off some of the pieces of this that we don't need. This mounting bracket here, first of all. We don't need this style of mounting, so that's eliminated. Alright, so that's eliminated. How it's gonna the length of the shaft is another one that could be an issue. We'll worry about that more once we go to put that in there to mount it, see if it's gonna fit. So right now I'm gonna remove the old mounting brackets from here. So we got the first one out, and the second one out. I'm just going to put my screws back in here just to help hold it together. Alright, so we're done with the old one. Press it here just to hold this little nut that connects to this screw. Loosen it up. Set it down with the nut. Do the same thing to the other side. Alright, now that we got that separated, we can actually just pull our motor apart like this. Make sure none of the spacers or bushings fall out, and put it on basically in the exact same way, but on the opposite side. And what we did with this little piece here, which is painted on ours, which is copper on the other one, now the polarity is the same way, and the motor will turn in the right direction. Now the only thing that we have to do that was different is we have to also add our mounting pieces here. So that's actually going to go, I'm going to see if it'll fit on here, nice clean, just like that. And then I'm going to put the other one on. There it is, right in front of my face, hidden very well. So we're going to try to now put everything back together. Where's this one? There's it. Okay, there we go. So we got it in position now. Oh, I lost a bushing, so not as good as I thought. Try again. Alright, so both sides are put together. I'm also going to include our little ground piece that had came off when I put all my screws together, so that way our ground wire can go back on. I'm going to grab my screws that I took off earlier, put them through, and connect the little nut on the other side here. I'm going to drop my ground terminal. So I got that in position here. So we're going to tighten this up now. I got everything in position. And so that's on there. We'll go to the other side, do the same thing. Alright, so now that's on there. Our ground wire is in here. Mounting bracket. Alright. So I got my fan, everything's assembled. We're going to go ahead and just put it in position. And I'm going to go ahead and attach our screws to mount it in place onto our bracket. If I can. Alright, so now we have our fan securely mounted. The only thing that's missing at this point is our fan blade. See, it's a little loose on there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some silicone on there just to help hold it in place. So I have my food grade silicone, and I'm just going to squirt a little bit inside that fan blade there. Oop, it came out the other side more than I thought. So then that way when we go to slide the blade on, it's got a little extra grip on there, on that shaft. So we're going to go ahead and just slide this on. And I said we're going to slide it on. And I'm just going to kind of bring that back down to help it stay in position. Alright, so now we have all that in position right there, and we can go ahead and then we're going to get back in the freezer here in a minute and work on our wiring to make all of our connections. Okay, so what I'm doing, I have my wires, since they're a little bit different, I am just going to zip tie them to the fan blade so that way they don't get in the way of the fan blade and create a problem down the road. So we got them on there nice and tight so that way they'll stay out of the way. And then when we mount this, we're going to end up making our connection outside of the fan, and then we can secure the wires from there too. So we got our bracket mounted. And our wires that we had here, we're going to go ahead and just put those back in place. We got one of the guys there to hold it. We're going to attach to our fan motor that we had taken off. And then here's our two wires that we had, and we're going to attach them to this here. So I'm going to find out which wire is the hot one still. Which is my black one, and then I would say that they're both hot. Alright, well, maybe they're both hot. So what we're going to do is we're just going to be careful so we don't poke ourselves, or we let the wire come in contact with the evaporator to where it could damage something. So I'll find my wire strippers. They're there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start splicing my wires. We have our two electrical connections now. On the old motor, you had two white wires that went to it and then one single black wire. Now you can see with the orange wire nut, we have the two white wires connected to one of the motor leads, which is a black wire. Both motor leads are black on this application. And then on the other side, we have the one white wire, or one black wire with the other motor lead wire, which is black, with the blue wire nut. Now we're going to go ahead and I put some silicone in there so that way it keeps moisture out of there so there's no corrosion on our connections. Now I'm going to take our wires, I'm going to secure them off to the side with a zip tie so that way they can't impede the fan blade. So everything's hooked up. I fastened our wires to our ice maker harness. That way it'll keep it away from our fan blade. I'm just going to turn this on briefly while I have it apart just to make sure all my connections are good. And so that way, as I mess something up, it's easier to work on while it's still apart. Alright, I can see that the fan motor started running. So that's all set. So what we're gonna do is, that's not gonna hold, is it? We're gonna, at this point here, we can start to reassemble, and we can go from there. Okay, so we got everything there hooked up. We're gonna go ahead and reassemble the unit. And we'll go ahead and put our fan shroud piece on here. And then I'm gonna take my back panel, get that in position. I gotta put my ice maker wires in. And that'll snap into place. Right there. And then we can go ahead and push our panel back. Oops. Alright, so we got everything basically in position. We're going to go ahead and put our screws back in to mount it. That's in place now. Now we can go ahead and put our mounting brackets back on. And finally our ice maker. So everything's in there, everything's ready to go, and we're just going to give that fan blade time to bond up the silicone on there, so that way we don't make sure it doesn't slip down at all. Thank you for watching another quality in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.